Let me connect to this. All right, hey guys, Joe here. So this is gonna be a little bit different. So if anyone shows up, like a Q&A section, if there's anything I can help you out with, and then which probably no one's gonna show up to anyway. So it'll just be more of like rambling. Someone in the comments actually said they enjoy this, so go figure. So today, what I want to kind of talk about, because it's been a few days since I've been on here, it's kind of like the different conversations I'd have with my employees and the mindset shift that I talked about. But in case you haven't heard it, this is where my head's kind of at. Not only for my business, but for my family, my personal life. This includes the pets, and just includes everyone that I, interact with on a day-to-day basis. And that basically gets drilled down to, if you want to be part of the team, great. But if not, like, go find somewhere else. So as far as in work, I talked about it as far as with the like the people that we have for the warehouse and stuff. If you're part of the team and you're looking out for the company, great. If not, then I'm not going to be able to continue to do this wholesale. So then we're going to get rid of that, and then you got to find a new place. But then we started doing it with everyone else. Where the pets, it's the same thing. We have these dogs, or have these dogs that don't, that aren't fully trained and everything else. And at the end of the day, I'm just tired of it. Like, I just want people to do what they're supposed to do. So it includes the dogs. So they're about to get shipped away to be trained for like a week, 2 weeks, something like that. And then hopefully they do what they need to do. And I just have the same conversations with my son, which he's actually in the back seat now, just because we're having issues. And at the end of the day, like, I'm not like, maybe I'm crazy, I don't know. But at the end of the day, I don't feel like I expect too much. I just want you to come in, do your job, and go home. And it's the same for like him and the family as well. So that's where we're going at. For the person that's on here, if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going to be rambling. I am heading down to the shore. So that's why I figured I'd just hop on and kind of talk about like stuff that's been going on. And from that. So anyway, you're gone already. So I don't even know what I want to talk about. I just figured I'd jump on. But the one thing, so I started back surfing. So there's definitely been lessons learned with that that can carry over into business and regular life as well. And I find that a lot where, different activities that you do or hobbies or stuff like that, a lot of what you do in other parts of your life, they relate to other parts as well. So as far as with the surfing, what I noticed is this year there's been a big, so I started last year. So obviously I still don't really know what I'm doing. Well, one of the things that, you talk about in business that's true is like you got to have the right tools for the job, right? And surfing was the same way, where I started with this foam board, which is this like beginner board, but then I switched because I wanted to look more professional and stuff like that. So I got a different surfboard, but I wasn't looking at the conditions for the surf, where I was in relation to like where I was as well as for the skill set that I have. And what happened is like the surfboard, like I spent money on it, but it really didn't do anything for me, right? And it's the same for the business. So you could, like I just went to my grandmother's house today, and she had concrete, talking about how they were the cheapest bid, and they had demolished her previous driveway. It wasn't enormous, it was your regular sized driveway. It was enough to fit like 2 cars in there. And the width of it was basically, I don't know what it is, but basically, like when you park your car, you could probably fit like 2 feet on either side. So just your normal driveway, right? And she was talking about how the company was the cheapest, but they did everything by hand. They used just a regular jackhammer, which is fine, but they didn't even have a machine to like load up the old concrete. Like they loaded that shit up by hand. And she's like, it's weird because like they didn't have, like, they did everything manually. They probably took longer than everyone else, and then they were the cheapest. I'm like, that's how it works. When you're first starting out, you're not charging enough and stuff like that. And my one employee that is starting his own business and stuff like that, like I keep on having these conversations of trying to help him so that way he doesn't screw himself like I kind of did for myself. And I said the same thing, like we were talking about today, where I'm like, where's your typical jobs at? And he's like, an hour and a half away. I'm like, wow, like, is that because it's where you're getting your word of mouth from? Like, why are you going that far out? And he's like, well, we're going out that far because of, like, it's where his family lives, so he's getting word of mouth and stuff from that. And he's like, we even got this job where it was like 3 hours away, but I told him, like, I just couldn't do it. And I did tell him that, like, you can't judge a book by its cover. Even if you price in for the extra labor, even if you price in for a hotel room and stuff like that, because you're just getting started, I'm like, you'll be surprised that some people will do it. Like, I've been to fence jobs where the house was like maybe $60,000, $70,000, completely run down, and then I'm going there and putting in $10,000 for a fence. I'm thinking there's no way in hell. Like, I pulled up there, I'm like, with my time, this was before we charged for estimates. And then I tell him it's $10,000. All right, is there a discount for tax? And I'm thinking, like, what the hell? Like, what planet am I in? Because, like, this fence is going to be 20% of the value of your house. So this doesn't make any sense. So, don't judge a book by its cover is the one thing I did learn from it. So, for the people that are on here, if you have a question, let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going to ramble. So, that's what we've been working on with that. So, there's that. Think about what else is going on in my personal life. So at this point, like I said, we are working more on the wholesale side of things. We're building up that side for my business so we can handle our own workload, but then we're going to be offering it to our subcontractors. So I am meeting with another supplier on tomorrow. The funny thing is he actually met with me back in like 2018. It was back when I just got my warehouse, and I told them, like, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And I basically had to, like, hunt them down to, like, give me pricing and stuff because they just thought I was full of shit. And, I told them, like, look, I'm not anyone else. If I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And so same thing, I got to chase him down. But funny enough, so he calls me in, like, probably like a week ago, and he's like, hey, how you doing? What are you doing right now? Like, blah, blah, blah. And it just so happened it kind of worked out. The funnier thing is, like, he's actually buddies with one of my friends down in Florida, so it's just a small world. But that's what we're kind of there. But at this point, we're getting everything squared away. It seems like at this point, I don't know if we're going to continue with the main fence company or if we go full on route with this wholesale thing. I'm just not quite sure what we're going to do at this point. So the reason why I'm looking at that, and because there was another guy that was just in it last year, but he was in a much bigger operation. So I think he had like 12 crews running, and then I saw that he just went to wholesale. And I'm like, dude, like, why did you do this? And he's like, I ran the numbers, and it just makes sense financially. So then I started looking at the numbers. I'm like, holy shit, like, he is not kidding. Because the one thing I got to remember is, like, for online marketing, which I understand that world a lot more than I do even with the business side of things, is that everything is around reoccurring revenue. Like, if you look at any of these business models, like Netflix, all the CRM programs, like any program that you're using right now, no one allows you to buy it outright. They have you on a monthly plan. Why is it? Because they make way more money that way, right? And you don't have to get just one cut. Like for us, it's fence company, so we get one fence job after another, after another, after another. And can we do it? Yeah. We get like millions, but thousands of leads a year. But like, it takes a lot of work for that, right? You got to pre-sale each person. Whereas when you're dealing with wholesale or reoccurring revenue, what happens is you only have to sell them once. And after that, you just can't screw up. If you make their lives easier, if you do what you say you're going to do, if you give it to them for a fair price, they're going to keep buying over and over and over again. So for me, my average profit per job is $2,900 this year. So that's after I pay for materials and labor. That's how much that's how much gross profit we're bringing in. Well, on the flip side, if I bring in one wholesale customer, so if I bring in someone like me, like running the numbers, like I'm worth to my supplier based upon my numbers, but he's obviously getting this stuff for way cheaper than I could just because he's in a whole different level. But I'm worth like $100,000 to him, at least, minimum, in profit. Not like, after everything, at least $100,000. So does it make sense to keep on going after customer after customer after customer for $2,900? Or does it make sense to go after one person that makes me $100,000 year after year after year? Now, I've been in this for 6 years at this point, So obviously in the beginning I wasn't ordering as much, but in total, like he's probably made like 300 grand off me, 400 maybe. So what is the better number, right? So this alleviates a lot of things, like the the advertising, like that's $70,000 to $80,000 a year gone. Like don't have to do that anymore. Like I could spend it on other stuff and shit to get customers, but I don't have to get hundreds of customers. I just gotta get like a handful. So that's where I'm kind of at this point. But then again, like this fence company is like the golden goose, right? It's my main source of income. I don't want to completely dismiss it. But then my options for that, there's basically two options. Actually, there's probably three. So one option is sell the company at some point if someone wants to buy them, which at this point, with the number of leads that are coming in, again, we have like 3,500 to 4,500, somewhere in that leads a year. Some with the actual sales ability and everything else, like it's worth a lot of money just in the leads alone. Like, let's be honest. Like Angie's List, like imagine spending $50 per lead. Like that's $160,000-$170,000 a year right there. So that's one thing. So that's where we're kind of at with that. But then again, if I sell the company, then the people that I have working for that company are going to go with that as well, which that I don't want to do unless I find someone that specifically just wants the name and basically the leads. So that's where we're kind of at. So I don't know what I want to do. There's another model where I basically keep it going, and then basically whoever I'm supplying to, I would basically, for the customers that call in, I can give them a price for my company and like three other companies, kind of like an Angie's List kind of thing, but automated pricing right away. So it's like, hey, we're this price, this company is this price, this company is this price, this company is this price. And no matter who you go with, they're all great companies because I wanted to just supply to whoever. But they're all great companies, so it's kind of like pick and choose who you want. Like, go with Deptford Fence if you want the premium option with the major customer service and everything else. Go with this middle tier option if you want to do a little bit more of the like work, or go with this other company where it's literally just two guys in the truck. They'll do the job for the cheapest, no doubt, but you're going to be waiting a while. You don't have the customer service. They're not going to like communicate as well as everyone else. Like just being completely honest. And it's kind of like a good, better, best situation. Because I have the number of leads coming in, what will end up happening is no matter what, if I sell the fence job great, or if my people I'm supplying to sell it, well, I'm still making the money. So that's something that we're going to be toying with as well. So that's where we're going at. I'm trying to think what else. But everything's been going pretty damn well. Like I got to say, I had a conversation with them today. Basically, they're doing an awesome job. Like they're pretty much running everything. At this point, we're doing about 8 to 10 orders a week right now. That's mostly just for myself and my subs. And at this point, there's been like one or two mistakes, nothing major, but just little stuff. And we had something happen yesterday, so I had to cover that with them. But I have to say, look, you guys are doing an awesome job. Like I'm only in there like 2 days a week for an hour, and it's not even like me really double checking on anything. It's like me coming in, like today I go to lunch room, it's like, hey, here's lunch. How you doing? What can I help out with? What needs to get fixed? Like, what can we work on? Like that kind of thing. And that's really about it. And for the most part, it just runs. Like it seems like it's an easier business model. But I also do realize that that whole saying, the grass isn't greener on the other side. But everything I look at, it might be greener, right? And I think it's just looking at the opportunities. Now, this coincides with my sales guy. So I brought in a sales guy, talked about it in the other videos. His closing rate's like 2 to 3 times higher than anyone else. Well, he's leaving now because he was trying to make this job work, but it really isn't a good fit for him for what he wants to do for a few reasons. One, he doesn't want to be working 40-some hours a week. And two, he's been in positions where he's made $30,000. He's told me, it's like, I made $30,000 in a month. I've made $10,000 in a day. And like, no offense, but this is just not equal. So he's going to end up going somewhere else. And, which is fine. Like, he's actually a really good guy. I liked his values, morals, like everything. A perfect fit for within the company. But I can't fault him. So I basically get a sales director job, and he's probably making north of like 100 grand a year. And so I can't fault him. Like, I would go. So, but the learning experience that we got from him, which instead I was thankful for, is that we kept on trying to hire people that didn't really know what they were doing. Like, we bring in friends and family, and we would basically use my sales trainer to train them. Well, you can, and I've tried Contractor Sales Academy and I tried all this other kind of stuff, but like they were doing okay, but we're still closing at 7%. But then I bring in this dude, and it's literally doubled, like immediate. It wasn't even like it took months or weeks to get into it. I'm telling you, like the first week he's on the phone, like literally, it was ridiculous. So what that taught me is to stop at some point, and I talked about it in other videos, but you got to stop, or in my opinion, again, I'm not trying to get as an expert, I'm just going by my opinion, but at this point, it does not make sense to me at the level that we're at to basically bring in people that don't know what they're doing and try to train them. Now, I talked about Alex Hormozi and Layla Hormozi for their YouTube videos. If you have not watched their stuff, you need to watch their stuff. It's not his more is like internet marketing, but his talks about business and everything else. Dude is smart and he's young, really smart. But they talk about the straight Alex syndrome, where it's basically bring in whoever you can find and train them. But he talks about it all the time. Like once you get to a certain level, like then you kind of start stagnating because you're only as good as like your best person, which typically is you, right? Or in this case, me. So at this point, we're bringing in experts. At this point, he had like 12 years sales experience. So at this point, we'll probably find someone in the 3 to 5 range that is okay making like $80,000 to $100,000 and is okay working 40 some hours a week. So that's what we're looking at this point. So if you know someone that is a really good salesperson and looks to make anywhere from $80,000 to about $120,000 a year, depending on sales ability, can work remote, working 8 to 5 Monday through Thursday, 8 to 2 on Friday, send them my way. So we're looking for someone. I have an interview with someone else this coming week, but I'm curious to see who we can get in there. Because honestly, we have a few more plans in place. After seeing what he can do, we're going to end up, I have a way to roll this out to other companies. So we might be working on that at some point, maybe. I don't know. I probably only have like 5 minutes left. I think I'm going to lose internet at this one junction. I think it's like 5 minutes, maybe 10. I don't know. Trying to think what else is going on in my life. Surfing is a big part of my life right now. We are down the shore for the summer. Right now I'm traveling back and forth on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. But at this point, surfing overtakes my entire life, as well as stuff that I'm watching right now, in case you care, is stuff about like the upcoming recession and everything else. If you have not watched it, there's videos by Ray Dalio. It might be on his website, but you can find them on YouTube as well. But they're kind of like animated videos where it's like, I forget how long they are, but it's like 10, 15, 20 minutes long. But it will make you understand so clearly of what the hell's going on and what's going to happen and what's going on as far as like the world powers and everything else and the cycles of the world orders. It's very interesting in the way he puts it. It's very clear and concise. And so I would highly suggest checking it out. But I am what is this cop doing? I am very curious to see what ends up happening. There's just so many things going against us that, like, I don't know, like, what else can go wrong? Like, it's so funny. But I am super excited for this upcoming recession because, like, that's when we're just going to make a ton of money. But that's where we kind of are. I do have, like, 2 minutes. It's probably going to shut off on me. But same as always, if you're into surfing, I did start a YouTube channels for that, but again, I don't really know what I'm doing. And then the other thing is, if you have any questions, always put them in the comments.